Hello, my name is Liza Elise, or Cafe Misery, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the decks that just recently came out in English, that being the Legend of Celestial Fury Estacion out of the Shiki Otei Start Deck. So, let's just go ahead and get into it. This is a very weird list, I will admit. There's a lot of things that you can do with this deck. There's a lot of versatility with the generics and Stoicheia you can do. This is the build I like currently. So of course, for the ride line, you have to be on the intended Estacion one. So Estacion, which goes into Legend of the Chaotic Dance Estacion, which when it's ridden by the Grade 2 Legend of Raging Skies, by soul blasting the Grade 0 Estacion and revealing a Grade 3 Estacion in the ride deck, you get a blast token. We'll get to the blast token once we finish the ride line, along with getting to the Vital Blaze Blast, which is in order that Legend of the Raging Skies searches when it rides over Legend of the Chaotic Dance. So these two happen at the same time, which is actually surprised me a little bit when I was putting the deck together, because I forgot to read the deck. But I've gotten a little bit of testing done now, so that's why you're getting this video. Of course, our Grade 3 is Legend of the Celestial Fury Estacion, who, as a once per turn, as long as you have a blast token, you can counterblast one. Call a plant token, but the plant token that's called by the skill goes to the plant gauge instead for the blast token. And then you can check the top 3 cards and put one of them into your hand, then shuffle. Or if you have at least 6 plant gauge, you get to check the top 5 instead. That is a mandatory add. You do need to pick a card. It says choose a card. It does not say up to 1 card. Which means if you see 5 triggers, you're getting a trigger to hand. You're getting some extra card value. Oh well. Other than that, when he attacks for discarding 2 plant gauges, you can search your deck or drop for a blast, which is the race on all of the season dragons. So Estacion, the Estacion line, and the rearguards will be getting to shortly. And you call it to rearguard circle, and then you just shuffle the deck if you search the deck. Now for the token, the Grade 1 Legend of Chaotic Dance calls the Grade 0 Blast token. It's a 5k with boost. If my camera would... There we go. It has a couple of skills. First off, it can't be moved to other circles, and it gets additional skills if you have an Estacion Vanguard. The first of which is that it's unaffected by your opponent's effects, so this thing cannot be retired by abilities, it cannot be bound, locked, anything. It is on your board. Along with that, once per turn as an action, you can put 2 to 3 of your face-up rear guards into its plant gaze face-up to draw a card. And during your turn, if you have a Grade 3 Vanguard with Estacion, well, yeah. Your front row gets 5k for every 3 of its plant gauges. So every turn you're going to be looking to do that maximum 3 in for its skill, if possible. And you're trying to get plant tokens there mainly. But because Estacion sends them to drop, you can use your rear guards and be perfectly fine. Now for the other card that's important to the ride line, we've got the Vital Blast Blaze. It's the order, which can be played by soul blasting 1 with an Estacion Vanguard. And it's very simple. It goes into the plant gauge face up. Then you get to check the top 5 cards of your deck. You get to pick one and call it to rearguard circle and shuffle. If you don't call a card, you get a plant token. And when it's discarded as a plant gauge during your turn, you can choose a blast unit you have and give it 5k. So when this is taken out of blast, if you're reducing it so it's below the previous multiple of 3 it was at, your front row is losing 5k, but you get to pick one of your rear guards and give it that 5 back. Moving on to the rest of the deck, of course, 3 Persona rides. And the first of the blasts we're going to be talking about, it's going to be a one of a Solitario Frio of Absolute Winter. Which one is placed on rearguard by a card's ability, so Legend of Celestial Fury or Vital Blaze Blast, or a few of the other cards we'll get into. It gets a critical and unaffected by your opponent, can't be chosen by your opponent's skills until the end of their turn. And on rearguard circle or hand, at the beginning of the guard step that your Estacion is attacked, you can put it to drop to choose a unit attack and give it 10k. So it's an additional 10k guard on grade 3 body. It sets itself to drop so it can set up to be recalled over and over by Estacion. This is one of the main pressure pieces you're on. For grade 2s, I've got another Blast, Ignacio of Blazing Summer, which when placed by an ability, if you have 3 or more plant gauges, you can choose an opponent's rearguard and paralyze it, so it cannot restand during their stand phase, and it doesn't intercept. And on Rear and Guardian Circle, as long as you have an Estacion Vanguard and a Blast token, so all the time from when you can actually call it, since it's grade 2, it gets plus 5k power and shield. This is during both players' turns, obviously. So it's always a 15k beater with a 10k body. And then I'm also on 4 copies of Granorindo of Daybreak Autumn, which when a plant gauge a plant gauge is placed during the main phase, that's a weird way to put it, I just realized. Essentially, when you up the plant gauge by using either Estacion's ability, Vital Blast Blaze, or the Blast ability itself, for single counter blast, you can call him from drop, and when he's placed, you get a plant token if you have an Estacion Vanguard. Going into the non-blast rear guards in the main deck for the grade 2s, I'm on 4 copies of Deeplands Maedith, which is the Skyride promo. When it's placed on rear, as long as it wasn't by a unit's ability, for a single Soul Blast, you can check the top 5 of the deck to either call a rear guard with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard, or add it to hand if it's an order, as long as you played a normal order this turn. So Vital Blast Blaze for 2s is the order you'll be playing. And when she attacks, as long as a unit was placed on rearguard circle from the drop zone during the turn, for 2 energy, you get to pick an opponent's rearguard and paralyze it. So again, cannot restand, cannot intercept. And if the opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, she gains an extra 5k on that attack. I really like her because it lets you put some really big pressure early turns. You are going to be like burning through your soul super fast. But the payoff is that you are digging through your deck thinning super fast, getting a bunch of pieces. To round out my grade 2s, I'm on a copy of Mutual Feelings Maiden Pence, who has the unique skill that when she's placed on rear, other than during the battle phase, she gets 5k, and then for 3 energy, she checks the top 7 of your deck, discards 1, and then calls 1 from drop. And when she attacks, your opponent is grade 3 or greater, she gets 5, and then if you have 10 or more cards in your drop, she gets another 5. You're going to be building up your drop pretty fast, surprisingly, because you're going to be soul blasting, you're going to be ditching cards from the plant gauge for Estacion, which they're not always going to be the plant tokens. You might want to be cycling through. And lastly, for grade 2s, I'm on Protection Twincast as my Regalis piece, which is a Blitz order that when you're attacked, you get 10k, and as an auto ability and drop that can be used even if you've already used a Regalis piece this game, to remove it when your unit is attacked and give it 5k for each of its grades. Moving on to grade 1s, I have the last blast unit for right now. Luz Diana of Sunny Spring, which is a 10k booster if you have 6 or more plant gauge, and once per turn, as long as you have an Estacion Vanguard, for 3 energy, you get a plant token. Really nice, simple. I've seen people run it at 3. I've seen people cut Maedith entirely and change around some of the ratios. I feel like at 1, it's perfectly fine. Other than that, for other grade 1s, I'm on 4 copies of Amicable Maiden, Elvina, who, when placed from hand, other than during the battle phase, for 3 energy, she either gets to recur an order without Regalis piece, or call a grade 1 or less unit from drop. Along that, as long as you have at least 4 units, she's a 10k booster. So she's a way to get back your Vital Blast Blazes that you send off of Estacion, or to get back some of your other grade 1 units, Luciana, Harvest Elf, who I'm only on 2 of currently. This is one of the biggest flex picks in the deck. The big ratio changes I like messing with are the Elvina, Maedith, and Harvest Elves. Harvest Elf, on place from hand, other than during the battle phase, for a Soul Blast, calls a plant token. When your opponent's rear guard is grade 3, she gains 5k, so she becomes a 10k booster because she is only base 5k. And at the end of the battle, she boosts. She can retire 2 units in the same column as her, so her and the unit in front of her, and draw a card. So she's card advantage. She's another way to build up drop really fast, so your pens will be active. And you can use it to... Greater Rainbow's a really good one to ditch with it too, because you can just revive it the next turn. And then lastly, for like units that you'll be using is Burrow Mushrooms, who as an act can be put to soul to call 2 plant tokens. The rest of the text does not matter because this is not Granthea. And this is the main way you'll be recurring soul. And with Alvina, you can kind of loop them a lot. This will be one of the biggest ones you call back with her. Lastly, perfect guards. And then for my trigger lineup, I'm on 8 criticals. If you want to run soul crits, this is a very good spot for it, especially with this build that burns through soul really fast. 3 front triggers. I'm on the 20k guard fronts because I like the extra guard, but this is, as I said, a deck that really benefits from extra soul. So you could be using the Rotheon's the soul fronts instead. 4 regular heal triggers. And the Source Dragon Deity of Blessings, Bless Favor. Now, I do want to talk about a little bit more about why I'm on Maedith. And a big reason is her second ability, actually. Because as long as you call something from drop, which you can do every single turn, you can stop one of your opponent's rear guards from having anything they can do. It costs 2 energy to do that every turn, but in certain matchups, it's really powerful, especially if it's a rear guard that they need to keep in rotation and need to keep doing stuff. Doesn't need to be at 4 for that, though. I personally really like it at 4. I like seeing it in the Alvina a lot more than I like seeing Harvest Elf. But I understand that some people really prefer Harvest Elf for her, which is fair. She generates plants. I've seen a lot of people do like 4 Elf, 4 Alvina, 3 Lucidiana. That is a perfectly valid way to build the deck. It focuses more on the plant stuff. You're not burning through soul as fast, so you have more to actually use on Harvest Elf, who I think that plant skill is the least important skill on her. That's why I don't really mind. I've seen a bunch of other attacks, some more stuff to focus on just generating plants faster. I've seen Huxui and Remred, the Stoicheia Dragon Empire dual nation that calls a plant token and gives you the passive ability that your units get 5k. That's a really good pick. I think there's a lot of versatility in what you can actually do with Estacion. So please tell me what you guys are thinking for your tech cards in the comments below, and do the rest of the YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe if you like the video, and I'll see you all later. Ciao.